So what do you do if you're 62 and you decide to go on Social Security because you had some assumptions, right? You had some assumptions that, you were not going to be, your employment was going to be ending. That could be one assumption. And we find that some people think they're ready for retirement, and something comes along and they're able to sort of keep it going. But they've done so while electing to go on Social Security, right? And I'm going to tell you that if you elect to go on Social Security before you retire, you're going to run into some problems that you really need to be thinking about. One is the income that you make is going to counteract the amount of Social Security payments that you're going to get, right? It's going to actually reduce your Social Security payments up until the time that you reach full retirement, which could be, depending on your age, 66 to 67 years old, right? You can watch one of my other videos about sort of how to calculate full retirement. It will tell you, it'll go into those details. Now, with that said, it's possible that you made a mistake, right? You might say, well, I didn't realize that. My job isn't going to end exactly when I thought it was going to go. I'm going to work another 6 months, another year and a half. So I kind of jumped the gun on Social Security. Well, there are two things that you really have to kind of be thinking about at that point. A, you still have all this income, right? Your Social Security payments, if you're not at full retirement, are going to be reduced. And hey, by the way, you might end up paying more in taxes because you got this extra Social Security income. So, and it does happen. You would be surprised; it happens more times than you would think. But you really have a couple options, right? If you catch it within 12 months, you can void your Social Security election, okay? And, if you don't need the money, I highly recommend that you do that, because when you void that Social Security election, you will have to pay back what you took, but hopefully that won't be an issue for you. But now what will happen is when you then re-elect in the future, you're going to get the payment based on that election. So if I elected at 62 and I end up working to 67, I can void my election at 62, and I will then get all of those increases. It's going to be about 8% a year that's going to go up, right? And so and that 8% kind of builds on itself, and it can be quite a large amount by the end of the time. So that is option one. If you don't catch it in 12 months, you can pause your Social Security, which has the same effect as voiding it to some extent. If you pause it, you've received that amount of money that's going to be counted against you. But if you pause it for 12 or 24 or 36 months, you're going to get a recalculation on what your payment should be, and you're going to see that reflected in future payments, right? And so it's something to kind of be aware of. Most people don't think about it or aren't aware that you can do such a thing, but you're trying to get the government to give you as much as possible. So if you take the money when you don't need it, you're really just hurting yourself, because you're going to get a sizable increase in payment for every year that you wait. And so that's a conversation that you want to have, and you want to do some planning around. Please contact an RSSA agent like myself or an advisor, because they're really the ones who can kind of help you figure out what you should do.